Welcome to Checks and Balances. I'm Michael Vincent. This is James Blair, and today another Money Month special. It is saving for those short-term goals.
Cool. So when we talk about your goals, when we talk about your budget, Mike, we do, and we're probably a little bit guilty of this. We break it into the buckets, right?
Yeah.
We've got your emergency fund, fixed expenses,
That fun
fund, and then your goals. And people look at goals and they usually think buying your first home, retirement planning, those sort of things. But there's a lot of short-term things we have to save for in the interim.
Yeah, there is. And, everyone has a different range of goals and what they want. Short-term, long-term, medium-term. I want a new house. I want a new car. I want a new boat. I want a new jet ski. I want to get a financial plan in place. I want to save an emergency fund. I want to pay off my short-term debt. Goals are not just about that shiny new toy. It is about what are you trying to achieve to get you better in the future.
Yeah, so when we think about short-term goals, we're really talking at 6 months to 3 years. What I really think people struggle with these goals is it's boring just to keep the money in cash.
Yeah.
People go, I could be making a bit more money. And they go, I'm going to put it into shares. I'm going to put it into my Kernel account.
Buy some gold.
Yeah, I'm going to do some day trading, whatever it might be, instead of doing the old boring thing. Why do you think the psychology is that people want to do?
I think it comes back to everyone wants things now, right? It is that instant gratification, and building stuff over time takes ages. It's not fun. It's not sexy. If we're at a barbecue and James is going, man, I just leveraged up and put another $100,000 in my ETF fund, my highly leveraged butterfly spread on something. It's like, that's cool. Me going, I saved another $40 a week for my short-term goal to go on holiday. That's not cool, Chad.
Yeah. Highly leveraged ETF really makes no sense, but we'll see.
I have no idea what I just said for once.
So we can't be mucking around with, and I'm going to get Mike to give an example in a second. Can't be mucking around with any kind of long-term assets in a short period of time.
Yeah.
It is quite simple. If you have a short period of time and you're investing the money, you know what we call that? Gambling. If you're investing it for the long term, we know the averages, we know where you'll end up. Mike, the example I'm thinking of are those people who had growth KiwiSavers and then COVID hit.
Yeah. And I mean, we saw that when COVID hit, a lot of those people shifted out of growth KiwiSavers into conservative and crystallized that loss. However, if you've got a KiwiSaver and you are wanting to buy a house in the next 6 months, 12 months, 3 years, you should be in a cash fund or something very low risk. Because again, like James said, we know how things perform over the long term, and 3 years is not the long term. That's not enough time for an average. We have no idea if the world's going to drop off a cliff in the next 6 months. You are just gambling.
The other interesting part is a lot of people go, I'll go conservative fund, get a little bit of return.
In bonds.
But over the last 18 months, not sure if you're aware, but it's been a pretty miserable time to be investing, although there are some signs that things might be getting better.
Yep.
Pretty miserable time to be investing. Conservative funds did worse than growth funds, which was, the stat was like bonds performed the worst over 12 months since like the 1920s or something crazy like that, which is all to do with how quickly interest rates rose up. So if you're in a conservative investment thinking that you're safe, that's not necessarily the case, which is why cash is king in that scenario.
Yeah, and if you're looking for advice on bonds, I would have to say high yield Turkish government bonds at the moment, with inflation running at 40%, 70% last year, a surefire bet.
We had some great times in Turkey.
That is personalized financial advice. You can take that to the bank of Turkey.
Yeah. Which is worth nothing. The other piece, just in terms of the investing where to put money for short-term goals, term deposits.
Yeah.
A lot of people go cash, term deposits, get a slightly better interest rate. Makes sense. The money is locked up. So if you need that money and potentially you're not too sure when you're going to spend it, there is risk that you will get a fee, which will be the majority of the return. So you don't want to be playing that game because they don't know fun it for nobody. If you do a term deposit, just make sure you've got a long enough period of time.
Yeah, and yesterday we had to delay settlement by a month because someone had it in like an ANZ or an ASB high yield fund or something like that.
How did that go with
the developer?
Yeah.
Well, understandably, I mean, I don't know if you know this about property developers, they like getting paid when they completed the house. So they are now having to delay settlement by a month.
Yeah, which would actually have quite big implications to them to be able to wrap up the development, move on, right?
Let me just tell you that any interest that this person made on that term deposit is instantly out the door with the late fees.
Yeah. It won't be enough.
Yeah.
That's sounds a bit scary. So just be thinking, the action for today is to make sure we've got to be realistic. Realistic and sustainable has multiple elements to it. It's not just about having fun in the moment. It's also making sure that we're thinking about, well, I've got these big goals that I want to achieve, and I know I'm going to achieve them, but I also know I've got these shorter term goals that I've got to work out. Maybe I'm saving for like an OE or a laptop or a car or whatever it might be in the short term, or your long-term goals suddenly become short-term goals, and you've got to change where the money is being invested.
Yep. Other thing we should probably mention are cash funds. So we quite like the Kernel Cash Fund.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The only thing I'd say about cash funds in general is just make sure like you understand where the money is, how it's being invested. A lot are like in 32-day accounts, some like government bonds, and short-term savings. So they all sound pretty good, and a lot of them have a higher return because those greedy fat banks are clipping a lot of the ticket. But they can be a good option for a lot of people. Just make sure you kind of understand how they work.
100%.
Cool. All right, we're keeping this one nice and sweet. Action today. Think about what your short-term goals are, how you're building it into your financial plan, so you don't have to either get stung by markets dropping, or you don't have to steal from your long-term self. Thank you very much for joining us. Please subscribe so we can spread the word and help more people. We'll catch you next time.
Cheers.